Hey, what's happening, everybody? We got an Aaron's ST524 sitting here. A buddy of mine dropped this off. Thing just barely fits on the table. And it's got a 5 horse Tecumseh, 24-inch cut. And the thing has been sitting for quite a few years. The gas smells absolutely terrible. The carburetor did not move at first, and I kind of prematurely started spraying it. But just wanted to give a good look-see around the carb. You can see the gaskets falling out. What do you guys think we're going to see inside there? I have no idea. Let's get the old wrench out. Oh, she's pretty tight on there. I'm not liking that. See, it's already starting to come loose. That gasket is just shot. And with how tight this nut is on the bottom, look at that. Like that. This thing is just... Oh no. You see that inside there? Let's see if I can do this. Oh boy. We may have a problem. This is pretty bad. This might be one of the worst rusted carburetors I've ever had to deal with. Oh no. It went from his truck into my garage. Oh Lord. That is I hate to say it, my friends, that is junk. Oh golly. Yeah. Why doesn't it run? Well, I got a few ideas. Oh boy. I think the chances of this thing running is about 0 with this carburetor. That jet needle, that's all plugged. The threads were all gummed up just even removing it. Oh boy, it actually broke free. Look at that. Alright, so I have the Berryman Chem Dip carburetor parts cleaner here. It comes with its own little basket. It's actually very good. Fairly aggressive solvent. Get in there. Don't get it, don't get it in your eyes. So, we're going to take this whole carburetor. I already pulled the needle out. And the idle jet, there we go, focus. And the idle jet's out. So, we'll just lower it nice and gently into the bucket there. And then I'm going to use my other hand here. I don't have the tripod outside right now. And I'm going to put this other bowl full of parts in here. You can already see it starting to bubble up and discolor slightly. It works pretty quick. So we'll see if we can't save this thing or not, because this carburetor is pretty bad. So let's see what happens. Alright, so we've had the parts soaking in here, the carburetor soaking for about 2 hours. Anything more than 4 hours, you actually run the risk of it actually starting to eat away at the actual like metal, the aluminum and all that. So we're going to get it pulled out of there for a little bit. We're going to just take a quick look at what we got. Now we saw how bad it was when it went in, and wear gloves, wear eye protection. This stuff can actually be pretty harsh on you. But let's see what we got here. Alright. You can see there's a bit of a discoloration to it, but it's coming along pretty good. You can actually see some of the color of the float there. Let's probably pull the carburetor out first. We'll deal with the bowl and all that later. The bowl is actually cleaning up pretty darn good. I'd like to see if we can get that float out of there. Let's just let that sink right back on in there. I'll readjust the camera. Bring it down. Alright. You can see a lot of that tarnish and other junk that was on the float is kind of working its way off. A lot of the rust is gone. It's looking a heck of a lot better. I just wonder if that pin is going to start moving for us. Or if that thing is really like stuck in there. I have a strange feeling that's pretty badly stuck. Yeah. Alright. Well, I'm going to throw this in the vise real quick. And get that rod pulled out of there. That way we can get the float out. And I'd like to clean that up a little bit with the wire brush. And then see if it actually holds air or if it's actually cracked in some way or something. So I'll put this in the vise and we'll go from there. Alright. Got it clamped in the vise here and it's inside some paper towel. That should keep it from getting too dinged up. I wonder if that's going to move at all. Oh, did you see that? She moved. Let me reposition that. What I'm also going to do... Where'd it go? Hold on. WD. Alright, let me reposition that and then we'll see if we can get it to move the other way. Alrighty. Oh, that's looking fantastic. Perfect. Success! And then we'll... I don't hear anything sloshing around inside of it. Got a little bit of a dent. Now you can really see how grimy that is. Let me grab the little wire brush. Where in the heck? There we go. See, it's slowly coming off of there. She's pretty gummed up though. A bit of corrosion. A lot of that is like a sludge almost at this point. But this will help break that stuff down. See how much scraping you gotta do before it starts to show aluminum. So this will go back in for a little while. Probably another hour. And then blast it off and clean it up. And now what I'm just doing before I put it back in, just going to do a quick scuffing over all the major surfaces that have like the worst of the corrosion. And all this stuff. There's some of the old gaskets still stuck on there. Just kind of knock as much of that junk off as you can. That way you don't gum up your chem tool too much. Getting there. Drop it on back in there nice and easy like. Back in the basket. And there she is. You just go really light with that. You can see very, very minute scratches. So even with the steel wire brush, you can clean up brass with very minimal damage. Alright, and what I did here is I got the bowl out. You can kind of see there's some floaties in there. The actual bowl itself cleaned up pretty good. Good deal of stuff is out of there. Let's dump all this in this little bin here. One of the washers. Now before I go too crazy, that's going to clean right up. This had a lot of rust in it. A lot of junk in the bottom. Can't really get in there decent on the sideways with a wire brush. I'll go blast this out over the garbage can. We'll be right back. Alright. You got the bowl cleaned out. And she has a lot of corrosion in the bottom there. All of that on the sides around this hole is missing aluminum. Probably part of what all that sludge was in the bottom. Even all the way over here. And all these other spots over here. There's just a lot of corrosion inside this. And just to kind of give an idea of how aggressive that stuff is, the carb cleaner, I actually just had to take off my glove and wash my hands because it ate through my rubber glove. That's wonderful. In a not so wonderful way. But just going to pull out the carburetor nut there and do a kind of a side-by-side comparison, make sure it's the right one. I like using the Oregon kits. Oregon, however you guys pronounce it. Usually a pretty good quality. I mean, obviously that one is all dirty. I've only got a one side hole. There's a lower hole there. Say that should be good enough. Hard to beat nice new shiny parts. Alright, and then the assembly of the adjustment screw here. You got the screw, spring, flat washer, and O-ring. Then put it on in. Make sure that O-ring seats nice and easy. You're good to go. You can actually pretty much pre-set these roughly to where they need to be. Because everything's brand new, so nice, just snug, let it touch. Then these are about 1.5 turn. That's one. That's a half. Well, that was 1.5. Half, 1.5. Either way, you know what I'm talking about. Another one of those videos where it's getting a little bit late, but been working extra hard out here trying to get some stuff done in the garage. Got a lot of snowblowers piling in. And there you go. That's how that one gets put together. Same deal. Spring, washer, O-ring. Then when we get to that point, we'll install that on the new carb, or the cleaned out carb. It should be good to go. And in normal cases, the workbench has regressed back to an absolute case of chaos and disorder. Oh yeah. Making old man noises all over again. Tell you what. I'll block your view. I grab my favorite pair of needle nose. Use these to come in here and grab the basket. And just with one carb cleaning, the water, well not the water, but the solvent in here is turned from a dark red to almost black. Just gonna do a quick rinse off here. Now she's looking pretty good. A lot of that junk that's on there is all cleaned off. And that there, the gasket, it's going to make a mess pulling it off of there. But, you gotta remember to wash off the tools too. Then we take the lid, pop it back on. And it even still has the little clips. Just kind of hook it back in place. Keep that lid from coming off. Alright, got the parts done. scrubbing them and washing them. It's all full of water. Got to blast all that out. But you can see it's a pretty big difference. There's still some more disassembly to do. Finish pulling all the last few pieces out. I'm going to make sure that this is the right one. That it is. Probably going to pop that cover off. Pretty much just do a small, what I tend to do is I do a small hole into it, and then I put a screw in and pop it out. And we also got to get that tube that's in there out. You can kind of see it, kind of can't. Well, overall, she cleaned up pretty darn good. While I'm at it too, I reckon I'll show you this piece here. So you take this Tecumseh tool, you stick it inside there. Just gonna apply a little bit of side pressure, and just like that, the old needle seat comes out. Kind of nifty, huh? Then when you put the new one back, you stick it on the end, and because this is brass, it won't mar up the aluminum surface. So it does a pretty good job of keeping all that clean and not damaged. So probably not the best thing to do. Oh boy. Woo-wee, that's a geyser. But I don't have any more emery cloth. Thought I did. Let's take a very nice fine steel wool and get that cleaned out there. It's better. That's what matters, right? And that in there. There's a bit of corrosion on there. But only so much you can do. So I'll be dipped. Ah, it's working. Perfect. Gives me a little bit of hope. Alright. Blast that out. Good to go. Alright, so we got the car body here all cleaned out. You can hear the click. That's on the idle side. Got the little check ball in there moving. Alright. Overall, the body of it cleaned up pretty good. I decided, due to time restraints, because I got to get the snowblower done for tomorrow, and it's already about 11 o'clock. This is on Tuesday. I did not pull this cover off, and I'm really hoping it doesn't come back to bite me in the butt later. But when I was blasting the brake cleaner in the side here, it was coming out. So it was actually coming out and kind of flushing out. So I don't think that will be as much of a problem. Alright. Now I'll show you how we install the new needle seat. What we do is we take our fancy new tool, line it up. You can see too the rib is on the back side of the new gasket. That goes in first. And just press it all the way in. I gotta give a little bit of a push there. She goes in pretty far. There we go. Now that will drop right on in. Free moving. Good to go. So now next what we'll do, take this piece here, make sure that fits. New rod. Perfect. Man, fits a little too snug. Alright. Because we're going to have to adjust our float level. Slide it right on there like so. And to adjust the float level, the words and things, to adjust the float level, you're going to have to take it on and off a couple times. Sometimes you can get lucky and it'll be pretty decent. But most of the time, usually not. You can see right there, it's a little bit bigger of a gap over here than over there. So we got to spread that tab with the needle a little bit further so that this sits level when it's upside down. So pop that off. Just bend that up ever so slightly. There are probably more precise tools to do that. This is just how I've been doing it. And so far it's worked out pretty good. Most of the time anyways. Now that actually looks pretty darn good right there. Don't drop it. You could get out the tools and measure it, but usually you're pretty darn good just by eyeballing it. That looks fantastic. Alright. Then I think we'll move on to here is putting on the bowl gasket. Right there. Just gotta slowly work it on there. Don't want to rush it. Risk damaging it. Just gonna chase it around until eventually it fits on there. Alright, now I need to grab the bowl. Where in the hell did I put it? There it is. The bowl. You want to line it up right about like so. Perfect. Look at that. Then take the new main jet. Put your gasket on there. Slap it on in. Just kind of, sometimes you have to nudge that gasket a little bit, just get it as centered as you can. Don't need to go crazy tight on it either. There you go. Now the idle. Which that's this one here. This one's going to take a little bit of finesse because of the fact it has that long spring. So push it in, start twisting. Just like that, it caught. And this one will be pulling out about 1 1/4 turn. So put it all the way in until it seats. You got half, 1 1/4. The bottom here, we'll just kind of recap on this. Put it all the way in until it seats. You don't want to force it. You see there's still a little bit of gap in the spring there, so that means it is all the way down. You don't want to go too tight. Then half, 1, and half. All right. We're getting somewhere. Now I reckon we should probably put the choke back in. What we're going to do here, we're going to clean that up a little bit with a tiny bit of steel wool. There's only one way that these go back in. That's the wrong way. Put it right about like that. Now, if I remember correctly, the gap was on the bottom. And you'll see which side had the screw. Usually pretty good at being pretty visible where it needs to go. Bastard. Kind of a pain to get them back in there, but you mess around with it, you can get it. And then leave it a little bit loose and just kind of get it about even. It's a hair off. That's way off. Come on now. And right about there looks good enough. I'll tighten that down. There we go. We got a functioning choke. If you want to go crazy, you can pull this side apart, polish all that. The fact it's actually moving and looks halfway clean, I call that good enough. But there we go. Alrighty. We'll get that set up. And this is the new gasket that goes in between the two. Part number 31688 Alpha. So, not too bad. Get out of there. I had a razor blade laying around here somewhere. I don't know where I put it. May even be on the camera somewhere. So. Oh, flash turned off. Hold on a second. Alright, there we go. So, you have this piece of bridges in between. What you have to do first is put in the screws that mount into the block, because they're actually held in place by the gasket. Oh. And then you have the other ones with the taper. You can tell the difference because of the shape. See, that one's more squared off, and that one's more beveled. So one side has a bevel, the other side just has a straight recess. So, pop those in there, and put the other ones in. Gonna find some way to hold it. Throw on the gasket. You can see it kind of just barely covers the heads of those, just enough to allow you to put it together. And that's how she's gonna go. Come on now. Don't want to go too far. Just gonna put these finger tight. Because there is actually a bracket that is held on to these. I'll grab that here in a second. It mounts using these bolts as well. Now, this part here isn't really pertaining to the actual carb rebuild. Some machines have these, others don't. It's just the linkage for the way that this throttle is set up. And that's going to tie into a different part of this video. I'm not gonna say series, but this thing is kind of janky. The throttle's all goobered up. They gotta fix all that. This is all just kind of backwards. Like, wait, that doesn't line up right. There we go. Too many pieces. And I somehow took this all apart when it was on the machine yet. Let's just say it was not the easiest endeavor. There we go. Nope, maybe not. Son of a bitch. And I'm doing this on camera. So, that might be why I'm really goofing off here. Not even purposely, just... Where'd this damn screw go? Son of a gun. Seen monkey shit fights in the zoo more organized than this. Bonus points to anyone who can reference that movie. Or tell me the reference of what movie that's from. There we go. Okay. And then this goes into that hole there. Alrighty. Then you have your throttle right there. That counteracts the governor. Perfect. Now let's tighten that up. Wherever I put my 7/16. Son of a gun. There we go. Jumbo screwdriver. Just snug one side, then snug the other. Make sure everything is lined up pretty good. Make sure nothing is binding. And kind of give her a little bit. All right. That's assembled.